Okay, hello, this is Jason, and like I said, I wanted to do a video giving some instruction on getting the entire Visual Studio set up. So what I want to do here is go through the process of getting a fresh installation of Visual Studio to getting an environment and a project that can run OpenGL stuff, and then loading the example project that is on the Moodle. So this one right here, example code assignment 2. By the end of this video, we'll have that running and you'll see the torus in all of its glory. I'll try to leave chapters, or whatever YouTube calls it, so that you can skip to the part that is of interest to you. But if you've had any trouble getting any of the particular packages to run, I recommend looking through the whole thing. Okay, so I have the book pulled up here, and let's see. So Appendix A is going to run you through the installation for PC. I believe that's what most of us are working on. If you need access to a Windows computer, let me know. So this is going to tell you how to get GLFW, GLEW or GLEW, GLM, and Soil 2. Okay, so one of the first questions that I've been made privy to is, why do we need all of these things? Why can't we just say, open up a C++ file and be like, draw a triangle or whatever. So GLFW is what we're going to use to manage making windows and getting input. So in order to create a window in Windows, you are able to do it with just C++, but it requires accessing the Windows SDK directly, which can differ depending on your configuration of Windows, and similar thing for input. So in order to absolve ourselves of all that headache, we are going to compile GLFW for our specific configuration, and that's going to just make getting access to Windows and input a lot easier. It handles a couple other things, but this is mostly what you'll be using it for. GLEW is what allows you to actually access the OpenGL functions. So there seems to be a little confusion on what OpenGL is. So OpenGL is primarily a standard that is set for other people to implement. OpenGL, the functions and everything actually live on your graphics card, and your computer can interface through them with your driver. Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, they've all gone out and created these libraries, and if you wanted to access them directly, you could do that, but it is, again, very difficult. It doesn't, you have to access functions by their memory address, and it's very annoying. And so GLEW has just gone ahead and made that a lot easier by giving you access to, at least at least by the standards, nicer function names and everything. Okay, so that's why we need these two. GLM is just going to help us do the math stuff so that we don't have to implement our own matrices. Soil 2 is going to let us easily load in textures. So, final thing before I get started, this is the configuration that I'm working with. I've got Windows 10 running. I have a NVIDIA 3060 graphics card. I don't think it matters, but 32 gigs of RAM. And yeah, otherwise it's pretty standard Windows stuff. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is GLFW. So you're going to download it from glfw.org. you're going to want to download the source package, and that's going to give you a zip file. Like the book says, they do have the binaries available, but typically for something this low level, we want to compile it ourselves. So once we download GLFW, it's going to give us a zip file like this. I'm going to just extract it. And this is probably the most complicated one in terms of how you get it all working. But if you've already done that, you can skip ahead a bit. Okay, so we've got our GLFW. Now we need to run CMake. So once you install CMake, it should look like this. It's going to ask you where the source code is and where to build the binaries. So we say, let's see, we'll give it this as the source code folder, and click Browse Build, and I'll give it the same, no, I'll give it the a build folder within that as the build folder. Okay, now I need to hit configure. So I am using Visual Studio 2022. If you're using 2019, you can select that from this drop down. It just, it's going to create a different version of Visual Studio project depending on what you select here. Everything else should be fine. I'll hit finish. It's going to do some stuff here. And then you'll probably get all this red stuff that probably makes you think you've broken everything. You haven't. You just need to hit configure again. And then generate. Okay, that was really quick. Let's see what happened. We can X out of CMake. We're done with that for now. Now let's go to that build folder. So it's created a Visual Studio project that we are going to open up by double-clicking that SLN, or you can just load it, through Visual Studio yourself. However you want to do it. Make sure you open up the solution because you want to be able to build everything, not just the a single project. Okay. Now we need to compile this. So we want to make sure that we're on the x64 configuration, and we'll go either to, you can either right-click on the solution here, hit Build Solution. The cat has decided to spill tea everywhere. I'll be right back. Where was I? Okay. Now we're going to build the solution. You can either right-click the solution here or go to Build Solution, or just Control-Shift-B. You're going to get all of the build messages and info on everything that it's building there. And then once it's done, we should see two things. There's the, let's see, is it here? No. Okay. This is always the annoying part, finding out where it went. Okay, so there's the include folder there, and then, let's see, it should tell us up here where it built to. In build source debug lib. Okay, I don't know why it's in a source folder, but whatever. Okay, so we've got our lib file and we've got our other thing. We'll put that off to the side. Oh my god, he's come back for more. Get down. Okay, now, let's go to the next thing. So we've done GLFW. Let's look at GLEW. Go to my GL thing, go to what I downloaded for GLEW. For GLEW, you're going to download it from SourceForge. Yeah, you'll download a zip folder. It'll look like this. You'll extract it. And for this, we don't actually really need to do anything. We just kind of get the binaries, and we'll have glue32.dll in the bin, and we'll have what we need in the release as well, and in the include. Okay, so that was the easy one. Now let's look at GLM. If we go to the, if you look up, I think it's like glm.g-truc.net, it will bring you to the GitHub for it. You'll go down to, where's latest release, and then you can download glm 101.light.zip. This is a header-only file. There's no library, there's no zip, there's no DLL or anything, so it's very easy. Once you download the zip, it'll look like this. You'll extract the GLM folder. That'll take forever because it's a whole lot of files. Cool. And then if we look here, you know, it's a bunch of HPP files, and yeah, you don't need to worry so much about what all this is. Just know that if you put this in your includes, it'll work. Alright, now Soil 2, the big one. So Soil 2 is also just a big ol' GitHub project. So you should be able to just go to code here and download the zip. And then we'll go to extract this Soil 2 master. And then when we go in here, it'll look something like this. Okay. Now we need, sort of like we used CMake before, now we're going to use premake. So, if you don't have premake already, the book says use premake 4. It's been a little while, so premake 5 is now the new thing. If you just look up, you know, premake download, probably. Yeah, it'll bring you to the thing here. You're going to download the pre-built binaries. It'll give you that zip folder. This is the zip folder here. You'll extract it. And then everything else the book says is true. So we're going to copy that premake5.exe into Soil 2 master. Then we need to open this in the terminal. If you're in Windows 11, you can probably do it through the right-click context menu. Otherwise, you may need to do it on the CMD. So I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I just open up the Windows menu, type CMD. It'll give you the command prompt. To go to Soil2 master, we'll navigate to whatever folder you had with CD. So this is in my documents, GL Soil2. Okay. And now if I do premake 5.exe VS2022, I'm getting that command from the GitHub instructions. Let's see, yes, in the compiling bit here, he says use premake 5 VS2022 or 2019 if that's what you're using. And just like that, took 88 milliseconds, and here we have, in one of these folders, yes, the make folder. Make Windows soil2.solution. It'll open up another Visual Studio solution. Then you want to go over here again, make sure that it's in x64 for 64-bit, and we're going to build soil2 static lib. So you're going to right click on this project, hit build. Okay, easy. That just kind of happened. Now we go back to our soil2 folder, and we notice the soil2 debug.lib. Okay, awesome. The static thing makes it a lib, by the way, instead of a DLL. So now we have everything that we need in order to make a new OpenGL project. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to File, New, Project. I've already created an OpenGL template, but I recommend doing that as the book says, but for now we'll just look at it like this. It's called OpenGL2, whatever. I like to place the solution in the project in the same directory, just because I'm normally not making multiple projects in one solution. And here we go. Okay, we've got a totally new project. Now we need to set up all of our libraries and such. So we've got a bunch of stuff in whatever folder we've been working on. We've got stuff in GLEW, we've got stuff in GLFW, we've got our GLM stuff, and we've got our soil stuff. But we want to set this up to be something that we can easily reference within Visual Studio. So I've set up on my desktop an empty folder, and as the book says, we're going to structure a folder just like this here, where we have a lib folder, an include folder, and then that GLEW DLL. So, that said, I need to create a lib folder, an include folder. A bunch of noises just happened at once. That was annoying. Now, let's look for lib. So if you've already got this folder set up and it works for you, then don't worry about this part. But for some people, I think getting the exact folder hierarchy is a little bit of a challenge. So first we're going to look at GLEW. We're going to go to the GLEW folder, and then go to lib, release, x64, and we just want GLEW32 lib. Oops, should probably put that in the lib folder. Alright, now we'll go for GLFW. go to the include, no, not the include. I believe it was source, no, build, source, debug, GLFW 3. Okay. Now we've got those two. Okay, now we need soil debug. So we go to the soil2 folder. We're going to go to lib, Windows, soil2-debug, lib, copy it into that lib folder. Okay, now we've got all of our libraries. Let's go to include. All right, once again, we're going to go to GLEW and go to the include folder. That's include right here. And within that GL folder, it's going to have all of these different .h's. We'll just copy that entire folder, put it in include. Bam, done. Now, same thing with GLFW. We'll go to GLFW, and then the include folder has a GLFW folder within it that contains these two header files. We just copy that entire folder in. Okay, now GLM. GLM, we actually just, whatever folder contains all of this stuff, it should just be called GLM. We will copy that entire folder into include. Okay, now finally, soil2. Might be in source, yes. Okay, so whatever folder has all of these, you want to see a big soil2.h in there and everything. It should be under source. You're going to copy soil2, all of that into include. Okay, awesome. Last thing we need is the DLL. So that is going to be part of GLEW. We'll go into GLEW. I think it's in bin, release, x64, GLEW32.dll. And we will just put that at the top level here. Okay, that didn't copy. Not like that. Oh my god. Whatever. We will put GLEW32.dll there. Okay, awesome. Now we have our folder hierarchy set up just as they wanted us to get it in the book. Okay, now I want to create a new OpenGL project. So we created the empty project. I had to do another take, so now we're doing OpenGL 3. All right. Now, we need to adjust the project properties so it knows where to look for all of that stuff that we just created. Unfortunately, Visual Studio doesn't just automatically know where to look for all the libraries and include files and stuff that we've created, so we need to tell it specifically where. Okay, now we open the properties, right-clicking, go into properties. And we're going to check which configuration we're on. I'm on debug right now. I can also switch it to release. We'll worry about that later. Now I'm going to go to VC++ directories. If you already have a C++ file here, you'll have another option here that says like C/C++. I believe using either is fine. So we're going to go to include directories. Let me just make sure that's true. Yes. Include directories, not external include directories. Maybe they both work. I don't know. Okay, now we go to that folder we've created, GL2, and I'm looking for the includes, so I'll double click include, select folder, make sure it's like, the full include folder, not one of the subfolders. And blammo. Alright, now I'll go to the linker. The linker is how we link libraries. So if we go to linker general, we look for additional library directories. We want to give it our libs. So we'll go again to that folder we created, lib, select folder, and bam. Cat is about to jump again. He just can't get enough. Hit OK, make sure that it's the correct folder, not like any subfolder or anything like that. Then we'll go to input. And we need to specify which libraries we want. For whatever reason, it doesn't just automatically do that. So as the book says, we're going to do GLFW3.lib, GLEW32.lib, soil2-debug.lib, and OpenGL32.lib. OpenGL32.lib we didn't generate, but this is going to just be part of the standard Windows XDK. We'll hit OK, and that should be enough. So we're going to hit OK, and then I'm going to add a new main.cpp to my source file. I'm going to grab some code that I generated. I literally just went to Gemini and asked it to generate basic OpenGL file or main source code that generates a red triangle using GLEW and GLFW. It pretty much knew what to do. I don't recommend doing this for, like, assignments and stuff, obviously, but for just testing it, I figured it was fine. I'm going to hit local Windows debugger, and oh, look at that, there were build errors. Okay, here we go to our first problem. Link cannot open file, whatever. So if you're like me when I first tried this and you read the book and saw that it separates everything with commas, you're like, okay, comma is the delimiter when I enter it, and that should be fine. However, if we go to that project properties, linker, input, additional dependencies thing, and hit edit, you'll see that the evaluated value, it's actually just considered all of this to be one file. So we actually need to delimit them with semicolons. Okay, now it's treating each as an individual thing, and I'll mistype OpenGL32 real quick just to show what happens then. Okay, I hit build, and bam, it doesn't know how to do that. Okay. So you have to unfortunately be very precise in your typing here. Otherwise you can get some random errors. I think if you misspell some of them, it'll give you a much more obtuse looking error. But just make sure that you have all of these correctly spelled, correctly separated by semicolons. Let's try again. Local Windows debugger, and code execution cannot proceed because GLEW32DLL was not found. Okay, now what do we need to do? Well, remember that we created that GLEW32DLL, and we need to put it in the same folder as the project. So you might have the solution and the project in a different folder, whatever, as long as it's at the same directory as the vcxproj file, you should be good. Now, local Windows debugger, and we've got that triangle. Okay, awesome. If you've made it this far, you now have the ability to use GLM, well, not GLM, you now have the ability to use GLFW and GLEW. Okay, now we want to load up that, oh, far too many things here. We want to load up that file that we got from the Moodle page. Okay, so the example code gave some, well, let me just extract this. Sure. So if we look at the example code directory, it'll give us some stuff from chapter 6. There's 3 files here. I like the torus one, so let's go to the torus one. And it's just a bunch of C++ files, header files, GLSL files, etc. Now, if you try to just run any of these in this folder, it's not going to work. We need it to be within the project that we create. So, I'm going to go to my OpenGL3, open folder in File Explorer. I'm going to delete that main.cpp because I'm going to replace it with the code here. So I'm literally just going to copy, paste everything into that base project directory. You could make subfolders if you like, but it's not super important because we're going to get into it later. Now, I've got all of those folders in the project, right? I can go over here, I can click main.cpp. We can see that everything here is not throwing any red squiggles because I have my soil2.h configured in that external library or externally include stuff. And yeah, I've got all that code. Now what happens if I hit run? Oh, build errors again. Okay, geez, that's a lot of link errors. Well, even though all of that stuff is in the folder, it's not in the Visual Studio project. We have to go to source files, add existing item, and then we'll add GLSL files, CPP files. We don't need to add main because it's already there. But yeah, and I don't know, I'll put the brick in there as well. So make sure you've got these files selected and then add. All right, we now see that all there. Header files, I'm going to go and hit existing item or add existing item. Now I need to add torus.h and utils.h. Now all of the files should be in here. Let's see what happens if we hit run. And bingo bango, we have our torus. And I don't think we can do anything with it, but we can look at it. Isn't it lovely? Okay. If you have that running, you now have soil, you have GLM, you have GLFW, you have GLEW, you have everything that you need in order to get the OpenGL stuff to work. Now, obviously, if you look through this main stuff, there is a lot of weird code going on. In the next video, I'm going to try going through this line by line and explaining things. So look out for that. Now, there's a couple of other little things, like I don't think you actually need to put them in specific files. I think if you put everything in source files, it would work. But these things are not actually folders, they're just filters. So it's just to help you organize your stuff. Sometimes you might want to put your GLSLs in your resource files. Same thing with your textures, etc. There's also, if we go to properties and I change my configuration to release, look at that, it's all back to normal, or the defaults, I guess. So I might want to actually set it for both of those configurations. However, I'm never really working outside of debug. I have seen in the past some problems that people have had with the debug configuration, and the only way for them to fix it was to change the configuration to release. If that's the case, Oh, look at that, I've got a bunch of red squiggly lines. That's because my properties aren't set up right for it. But maybe try, if you can't get it to work in debug, maybe try changing the configuration for release and see if that works. Let me switch it back to debug now. The book suggests that you create a project template if you want to do that. Maybe delete all of these files, or just start back when you had just main and go to project, export template. You can export a template as a project template, and yeah, then it'll have all of that stuff set up for you. When I did the class, I tended to just work off of one project with some basic version control, so I never needed to set up more than one project. So, you know, you can do what you like with that. Okay, with that, we have now set up the entire Visual Studio environment. Hopefully you got some use out of that, and if none of that doesn't work, or if some of that doesn't work, I recommend go back, rewatch the sections carefully, make sure that you have everything configured just the way that I showed in my process. If it doesn't, you can reach out to Miradil, and we'll try doing something about it. Okay, this video's been long enough. I'm gonna head out.